Princess Leonor and her prince are married. Watch the full wedding highlights. The morning began with anticipation that could be felt in every corner of Spain. Streets filled with flags, balconies draped with flowers, and thousands of citizens waiting hours just to catch a glimpse. The air was alive with history in the making. Princess Leonor, Spain's heir to the throne, was about to marry her prince. The cathedral doors stood tall, heavy with centuries of tradition. Yet inside, a transformation was waiting to unfold, not just of a young woman into a bride, but of a princess stepping fully into her destiny. The cameras caught every detail, but what no lens could capture was the sheer emotion radiating through the crowd. And then, it happened. The music rose, the doors opened, and Leonor appeared. Her gown shimmered under the golden light, a masterpiece blending Spanish heritage with modern elegance. Lace whispered of her country's past, while her silhouette spoke of the future. The veil framed her face like a halo, but her eyes, filled with both strength and tenderness, told the true story. Her prince stood waiting at the altar, his posture firm, yet his hands trembling with anticipation. Their eyes met across the aisle, and the entire cathedral seemed to pause. For a moment, it was no longer about crowns, nations, or history. It was simply about two people in love. As Leonor walked forward, escorted by her father, King Felipe, emotions ran high. Philippe's pride was unmistakable, his eyes glistening with restrained tears. Queen Letizia followed, her expression a mixture of joy and wistful reflection, watching her daughter, once a child in her arms, now stepping into marriage and monarchy. The vows began. Words that have been spoken by kings and queens for generations, yet in Leonor's voice they carried fresh power. She promised not only love, but loyalty, not only fidelity, but courage. Her prince answered with equal devotion, his voice unshaken, declaring his love in front of God, family, and country. And then came the moment that sealed it all. The rings exchanged, the kiss shared. A cathedral filled with centuries of solemnity erupted into applause. Outside, the bells rang louder, echoing through the streets of Madrid. The people cheered, tears streaming down faces of strangers who felt bound by this union. But beyond the joy lay questions. What does this marriage mean for Spain? For Europe? For the future of monarchy itself? This was no ordinary wedding. It was a bridge, between tradition and modernity, between royal duty and personal love. As the couple stepped outside, the world caught its first glimpse of them together, husband and wife. The sun broke through the clouds as if nature itself was blessing the moment. The newlyweds waved, their smiles radiant, their bond undeniable. The carriage ride through the city was like a dream. Crowds lined every street, chanting her name, throwing petals, waving flags. Children lifted onto shoulders shouted with joy as Leonor and her prince waved back. It was more than a procession. It was a celebration of love that united a nation. Inside the carriage, though hidden from the world, they leaned close. A whisper here, a smile there. The weight of ceremony fell away, leaving only two young souls realizing the depth of what had just happened. The reception began in the grand halls of the palace. Tables glittered with crystal and gold, yet the focus was on the couple's first dance. Music swelled, their steps intertwined, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Royals from across Europe watched, some with envy, some with admiration, but all with recognition. This was history unfolding. Yet even amidst the grandeur, humanity shone through. A tender glance shared with her mother. A laugh with her younger sister Sophia, who clapped the loudest when Leonor entered the room. A tear wiped away discreetly by her grandmother. Every detail added to the story, not just of a wedding, but of a family bound together by love and destiny. And then came the speeches. King Felipe rose first, his voice deep with pride. He spoke of Leonor's journey, of her strength, of the weight she carried with grace. He welcomed her husband not only into the family, but into the future of Spain. His words stirred the room, leaving few with dry eyes. Her prince responded with humility, thanking the Spanish people for their acceptance, thanking Leonor for her love. He spoke not of titles or crowns, but of partnership, of walking beside her through every trial and triumph. The sincerity of his words left the hall in awe. As the night deepened, music filled the palace, laughter rang out, and joy overflowed. Yet even then, curiosity lingered. What comes next for the young couple? Will their love story strengthen the monarchy? Will it inspire unity in a divided age? No one could know the answers. But one thing was clear. On this day, the world did not see just a royal wedding. They saw two hearts bound together, promising not only love, but hope. Princess Leonor, no longer only the heir, had become a bride, a wife, a queen in spirit. Her prince, no longer just a figure in the shadows, had stepped into the light at her side. Together, they had written a new chapter, one that will be remembered for generations. And as the final fireworks lit the sky over Madrid, the city seemed to whisper what everyone felt: this was not just a wedding. It was the beginning of a legacy. Because in the end, beyond crowns, beyond history, beyond power, this was simply about love. A love strong enough to move nations, gentle enough to touch hearts, and timeless enough to endure.